Hi everyone, and welcome to ENVH5102, Environmental and Occupational Health. This particular lecture is really to give you an idea of what to expect in this course and what I will be expecting of you. So let's go ahead and get started. My name is Dr. Rosalind Penny. I'm an adjunct assistant professor here at UAMS in the Environmental and Occupational Health Department. I am not at UAMS right now. I am in Colorado and will be teaching this course from Colorado. So while I was at UAMS for the last 5 years, I was involved with cancer research with several other professors as well, looking at the genetic and proteomic aspects of cancer. More recently, I started studying demographic differences of people who are diagnosed with cancer in Arkansas, both at the county level and at the group of county level. So the differences between people who are diagnosed in the Delta versus other areas of Arkansas. I have a lot of interests in environmental health. I am very interested in the fate of pharmaceuticals in waste and drinking water, in chemical reduction in the home. I'm interested in diet and health, and I'm very interested in gene-environment interactions. Currently, I'm an environmental health specialist in Southwest Colorado at a local health department. And so if you have questions about what you might be doing if you follow the environmental health specialist track, in the environmental health track, I'm more than happy to discuss that with you. Now, you know a little bit about me, so I want to find out a little bit about you, and that's going to be your first graded activity here in the course. In the left-hand side of Blackboard, you'll see a tab that says Discussion Whole Class, and that's where you're going to find this coffee house. So click on that, find the coffee house, and follow the directions to do that so I can learn a little bit about you. You're going to be making a YouTube video about yourself where you'll include your name, your educational track, and that will include both if you're in the certificate program, the MPH program, and also what track of public health you're interested in, so epidemiology, environmental health, whatever. I also want to find out why you chose public health and a personal note about yourself, just a little something about who you are. Now, I understand that not everybody is comfortable putting a video up on YouTube, so if you are uncomfortable with that, please let me know, and we'll find another way that you can complete this assignment. So here are a few ways that you can contact me. The best way is going to be through the UAMS account for me. And that's because I can get that email on my phone and I can respond fairly quickly after I receive an email. The second way is through the course email system. I will be checking this at least once a day, but if you need a more quick response, you're going to want to use the UAMS account. Expect a 24-hour wait on the course email system because I might check it at 6 o'clock and you might email me at 7 o'clock, which means I won't check it again until the next day, and so you'll be waiting for your answer. You can reach me by phone, but you're going to have to email me at the UAMS account, and I will send you a phone number that you can call and we can chat. And I'll also be happy to make an appointment with you to speak in person with Skype or with Hangouts or whatever video conferencing you would like to use. So just contact me and we can set a date if you have questions about the class or things that you need to discuss with me in person. So here's a little bit about what you can expect from the course and what I will expect from you. If you have questions about the course, first check the syllabus. Okay, I try to put a lot of information in there, and if the question is not answered by the syllabus, then check the directions for the activity. So if it's about the presentation, check those directions and make sure your answer isn't somewhere in those directions. And then if neither of those places has your answer, then go ahead and ask me about it. The course is not going to be all available all at once. I'm going to be dosing it out, basically. The part of the reason is because some of the classes I want to update, and then another reason is I don't want you to get overwhelmed by everything that's available. The discussion questions will show up about a week before they are due, maybe a little bit earlier. I haven't made my decision, but at least 1 week you'll have to read the question and think about it before you'll have to answer it. There are 4 units in this class. There's also this little section where you found this video, and the course overview is in here as well. But the first unit is very brief. It just discusses a little bit about regulations and history and environmental and occupational health. Don't get used to them all being this short. The other 3 are quite extensive, so there's a lot of work in this class. Each of the units will have several lessons, and each of the lessons has 2 or 3 lectures. So each lesson has several elements. One is an overview to discuss what our objectives are for this lesson, a list of all the readings, a list of optional readings. The overview is not as up to date as it should be, so I prefer that you actually look at the lectures and the course as it's set up in Blackboard. The lectures are slideshows with audio. The first lecture in every lesson will have printable slides of all of the lectures for that lesson. It will have all of the readings, and it will have all of the optional readings. Now, optional readings are truly optional. If you are really interested in a subject, then I would look at these optional readings or videos. But if you are not, you can skip those. But the regular readings are important, and some of the questions on the self-quizzes will come from those readings. There's also a self-test for every lecture, and this is where a lot of your participation points will come in. So after each lecture, at the bottom below the slideshow, you will see the quizzes, and sometimes it's 1 question, sometimes it's several questions. So make sure you get to the end before you click submit, and you've answered all of the questions. Okay, I just discussed the readings and optional readings. So some important notes about the course. You need to give the lecture time to load. It usually only takes a minute or 2 depending on your internet speed, but sometimes it takes longer. So just allow it to load and wait for there's a big box that will show up on your screen that says that the Score Center has connected, and so you have to click something in that box. After you've clicked it, then go through the lecture and your quiz. If you don't wait for this, then your quiz may not get into the grade book, so you could lose out on those participation points, and I don't want to see that happen. Please use Firefox for opening Blackboard and taking this course. I have been informed by the Office of Educational Development that this is the right browser to use for Blackboard, the version of Blackboard that we have right now. And so it seems to work the best. The other internet browsers sometimes do not connect to the Score Center, and they don't let the lecture might work okay, but the quiz does not connect to the grade book. So that, again, we don't want to lose out on those points. So here's how you're going to be assessed in the class. You are not going to be taking any full exams in my class. There are the end of lecture quizzes, but that's about it as far as exams go. Instead, I have class participation being quite a number of points. Your self-tests, of course, but then also discussion forum questions, which we'll discuss a little bit more. Not only will you be answering these questions, but you'll also have to respond to 2 of your peers within your group. And spelling and grammar are going to count this time because I am changing your written assignment as well. This is really going to stand as your main writing assignment in this class. So you're going to have 24 questions, 24 opportunities to impress me not only with your content knowledge, but your ability to spell and be grammatically correct. Now, Microsoft Word has a great little program where you can check spelling and you can check grammar. So if you are unsure, write your answer out in Word first and then cut and paste it into the discussion forum. The other written assignments are your presentation, which again we'll discuss in just a little bit, the evaluations that you do on your peers' presentations, and a paper. The paper is changing this semester only, and it is going to be the script of your presentation. Again, spelling and grammar is going to count, but you don't have to worry about the content so much. It'll just be what you did for your presentation. This is how I will be grading the class. Is 90 to 100% is an A, and 80 to 89.9% is a B. 89.9% is a B. I don't round up. You have to earn all of the points that you get in my class. We have a total of 1,000 points that you can get. Actually, it's a little bit more than that because some of the end of lecture quizzes cause that number to be somewhere around 1,024 points. So I'd give just a little bit of extra credit somewhere in there. If you happen to get all the points in your presentation and all the points in everything, you'll actually make more than 100, but we can't give A pluses, so you'll only get an A. Sorry. Now, if there's an element in the program, in the Blackboard that's not working, like if you click on Unit 1 and nothing happens, then contact me. If it's not working properly, like you click on ionizing radiation and it has to do with noise and vibration, then let me know. I think everything is set up properly, but not always does the instructor see what the student sees. So just let me know if there are any problems along those lines. If you're having problems with the computer, so maybe the browser settings aren't correct, or your computer is crashing, or it's not loading these classes, then you have to contact the UAMS IT Help Desk. They will be able to help you much better than I will. Now, I'm going to discuss academic integrity a couple of times in this lecture because it's very important to me. All the work that you do needs to be your own. Don't have somebody else do your work, and don't do somebody else's work. That includes helping people with the quizzes, the end of the lecture quizzes, with class assignments like the presentation or the discussion forums, and please don't plagiarize anything. I will check plagiarization through a program called Turnitin that will go through the entire web and other papers that have been submitted to Turnitin to make sure that you are not taking information from an outside source and not citing it, putting quotes around it, referencing it, everything that needs to be done so you're not plagiarizing a source. So I can do this with your discussion questions, with your paper, with your presentation, with anything that I feel that might be plagiarized. I will put it into Turnitin and just double check it. In the context of this class, plagiarism is going to be defined as the use of someone else's words without proper acknowledgement. So if you have questions about what plagiarism is, you are always welcome to ask me. You can go to the library site that's down here that will discuss plagiarism and how to avoid it. And there are some examples on the course site where that will discuss how you can avoid it and what plagiarism really is. So just changing one or two words in a sentence does not mean you are not plagiarizing. That's still basically using somebody else's words. Okay, on to the discussion forum. So the first question is going to be your coffee shop that I've already discussed. And then you're also going to have 24 questions throughout the semester. At the beginning, it's going to be about 2 a week that you will have to not only answer, but respond to your peers. So that you'll have a due date for your answer and a due date for the responses for the peers, which will be a few days after the due date to your answer. When you type in your answer, you will not see anybody else's responses until you submit your own. So you might click in and see that nobody has responded to discussion question 1. Then you type your answer and you submit it, and you see that 3 other people were there before you. So just don't expect to see anybody else's answer until you've actually submitted your own. You also have to respond to 2 other students in your group in a meaningful way. This means more than just, wow, that was a really nice job, or, oh, I like that article. I want you to give some content. I want you to ask questions. Don't be afraid to question things. Like, did you see this in the article? Or have you learned anything about that since you're reading this article? Or whatever questions you might have, please feel free to ask. That's how we start these discussions, and that's how we all learn more. So I will probably learn something in this discussion forum because you guys will start asking questions that maybe I would not ask. The first couple of discussion questions, I will be there and Dr. Chang will be there to give responses to all of your answers. After that, we're going to just sit back and watch what happens and just guide as we see necessary. So I really want you all to pay attention to the questions that we're asking in these first couple of questions so you can start asking your peers those questions. And these are the types of critical questions or critical thinking questions that I want you to be able to do once you get out of this class. I want you to ask them to your peers at work, to other students in other classes. The idea is to get you thinking beyond the box, beyond just what you're reading, and start really diving deeper for information that is pertinent. Okay, so there are penalties for submitting your answers and your responses late. If you put an answer in after the due date, you're going to lose 50% of the participation points for your answer. You get 8 points for an answer and 4 points for each response up to 2 responses. So you have a total of 16 points possible for every discussion question that's there. So if you put your answer in late, you will lose 50% of the answer points, which is 4. If you put your answer in after the responses are due, then you're going to lose 100% of your answer points. If you put your responses in after the responses are due, you're going to lose 100% of your responses points. However, if you miss a discussion question, go back and put the answer in. Contact me, let me know what happened, why you missed it. Put your answer in. Maybe we can work something out for the responses. But if I go back to the end of the semester and you're teetering between a C and a B in this course, we will find a way to make that a B because you have gone back and done the work. All right. If I see intent to do a good job, I will work with you. Your first assignment, large assignment, is going to be the presentation. There is going to be an assignment sign up. It is not up yet, and it won't be probably until the end of the week when all students have registered for this class. I want everybody to have a fair opportunity. I'm going to put up a PDF on the different presentations that you can possibly do. I believe I have 40 to 45 different presentations from which you can choose. And I'm going to ask you to read through those, choose your top 3. So when I say, okay, you can sign up for your presentation now, you know which one you can go after. And if you miss your first one, then hopefully you get your second or your third. You're going to be asked to make a 15-minute presentation that's going to explain your chosen topic and why your attendees, everybody has a different audience, why they should be concerned about it. And I want you to give them helpful suggestions. I want you to give them good information in layman's terms or whatever your audience level is. If you've got an audience that's working at your level, then you don't have to work in layman's terms. You can use more technical jargon. I want you to give mitigation techniques, statistics, so how many people are affected, how much money is spent on this problem, exposure sources, health effects, and any status of any regulatory organization standards, which we'll go through in the first couple of lectures. You might understand that a little better. So in this presentation, some of these are really hot topics, and there are people who stand very strongly on both sides of the fence of this topic. So the best way for you to advance your viewpoint is to know your competition's arguments and then address them in your presentation. So if you know that there are people who are against whatever your topic is, then throw their arguments into your presentation and address them and say why they are right or wrong. Okay, your presentation is going to be created as a PowerPoint or Prezi, whatever program you like to use. There will be voiceover on this, so don't put your script all on the screen and expect us to read it for you. If you don't want to use YouTube to load it as a video, you don't have to, but there are more complicated instructions to use something that's in the course if you want. I say it's more complicated. It's really close to about the same. But if you don't want your presentation up on YouTube, I completely understand, and we can work with that, no problem. So you'll load it as a video onto YouTube, and then you will submit it into the particular program that we have going. And there are detailed instructions that you will need to follow to the letter. Then once the due date has passed for the presentations, your evaluation time will begin. If you miss submitting your presentation, there is nothing I can do to get it loaded in so you can be evaluated. So please make sure that your presentation gets in on time. If you are struggling to make that happen, let me know. And let me know more than 2 minutes after they are due, okay? So after they're due, the evaluation time will open up and you will be asked to evaluate other presentations. Now, I'm guessing you're going to have about 5 to 7. I haven't made that decision yet, but it's going to be somewhere in that range. You'll watch their presentation and you will grade them. I'm going to offer you a rubric so that, one, you can know what your peers are going to evaluate you on, but also so you can understand how to grade your fellow students. And then you will have 50 points that you can dole out to each person. I will have 100. All of the points of the students who are evaluating will be averaged, and that is the grade that will go in for the student grade for this presentation. Now, if I see that there are outliers, like everybody gives you 48 points and 47 points, and one person gives you 3 points, then I may go in, see what's going on there, and I may remove that outlier depending on what comments are made. So if you are expecting somebody's going to give you a really bad grade, then I can go in and take that out if I deem that it is not appropriate. By the way, I've never had to do that. So everybody seems to be very professional in this course, and I would expect that to continue with this class. There is an example of a presentation in the Blackboard course under assignments. Feel free to take a look at that. I thought this was a very good presentation. She made a very good grade in the course. It is not the same parameters that you have for your presentation. I believe hers was 20 minutes and not 15. So don't copy her presentation. I remember it very well. So please, if you have that topic, don't copy her. When you do your presentation, please don't make it look like this. I don't want to read your entire script on the slides. I want to see some white space. I would love to see pictures. I would prefer to see things like graphs that you describe to me. That kind of, it really depends on the presentation that you're doing. It is not mandatory that you have pictures, but I will suggest it. I believe this semester I'm going to go ahead and give you the option to submit a draft of your presentation to me. So feel free to do that, and I will give you a lot of feedback on how to do well on your presentation. And if I see slides like this, I'm going to say, get rid of this, reduce it. I'm not going to do the presentation for you, but I will give you tips on how to make it a better presentation. This is a better slide. There are a couple of graphs that you can discuss. You will notice that it is the same slide that I use in one of my presentations to you. So, of course, I'm going to think it's a good slide. But this way you have something you can discuss. I'm not reading all of your script on the screen because I really don't want to do that, and I cannot stress that enough. Sorry, that's one of my 6 dogs shaking his head. So see what you can do about making slides more like this, or a small amount of words and a picture that's pertinent. Animations are fantastic, and I just love them, but I think that they can be well overused, and you will see me do that here. So I want you to use them sparsely, and I want you to only use things like fades or washes. That thing where fades and washes came up is terrible to watch 100 times. I want you to use the same animation throughout. So if you choose a fade, use the same fade with every animation that you do. Use the same wash that you do every single time. And please don't use crazy animations like that. It really can make people ill to watch. So please don't use it. Okay, some more presentation don'ts. Please don't use a different animation for each slide. That will make me really upset. Don't fill your presentation with your script. I've already discussed that several times, but again, can't stress it enough. Please watch the capitalization that you use. So with all of your titles, make sure the capitalization is the same. So if you capitalize the first word and none of the others, Do that for every single slide. If you capitalize every word in your title, do it for every single slide. I don't care which one you do, just be consistent. Please do not choose irrelevant pictures. If you're talking to me about drinking water, I don't want to see a picture of a family eating dinner. I want it based around whatever the topic is. And please don't be afraid to use templates or pictures. I don't want you to overuse them. I don't want you to use a crazy template just because it's a cool looking template. I'd like it to match your topic. So I'm doing an environmental health, so I have a green template with that has grass behind it. So, doing something like that is fine. If you want to just have a black and white presentation, then that's fine. But don't be afraid to test out a template here and there. Okay, your second assignment, submit the script from your presentation. Not that difficult. And again, I'm doing that because you're really going to be working on writing and not only content, but spelling and grammar in your discussion forum questions, and there are a lot of those. Okay, I mentioned that I would bring up plagiarism again, or academic integrity. So I'm just going to go through this again because it's very important to me. Plagiarism is the use of somebody else's work without acknowledging that it is somebody else's work. So if you copy and paste from places on the web, from articles, whatever, Turnitin is going to pick it up. If you do it in your discussion questions and I question it, I'm going to put it through Turnitin. What about lists? Lists are difficult, especially if they come from a place like OSHA or the EPA or NIOSH or some large government organization, and you want to say, here are the list of things in occupational safety that OSHA says you should do, then I would just ask that you start with OSHA recommends, or as recommended by the EPA, the following is a list of, do things like that where you still recognize who made the list, okay? Lists are hard to change the wording on. So you can find a way. You can always ask me, always ask me if you have a question. I don't mind questions. I love them. So how do you avoid it? You make sure that you cite and reference everything. So the citation is what you put in your paper, or in the case of your presentation, it's going to be what you put in your presentation to identify that information was taken from somewhere else. So if I put in a paragraph and I put a little parentheses with last name of the author of the information that's a citation. The reference is the full bit of information. So where I found it, what year it came from, what journal it was from, all those different things. So again, if you have questions, please feel free to let me know and I will answer them. You can put quotes around things. I don't like the use of quotes. You're in a master's level course now, and I would like you to find a way to rewrite the information in your own words. And it's not just take the information and put new words to it. It's processing it in your head and utilizing it to your benefit for your presentation or for your writing. And again, if you have questions, feel free to ask. So there's something called common knowledge that you do not have to cite. In the case of this course, it's going to be everything from the lectures. You do not have to cite the lectures. And in fact, I would prefer that you not cite and reference the lectures. You're going to pretend that you are in this field, either environmental or occupational health. And I want anything that you can get from the lectures to be considered common knowledge to you. So this common knowledge is going to be information that somebody in your field would know automatically without having to look it up. If it goes outside of the lectures, so if you have to look it up, then it is not common knowledge. So you do have to cite it and you do have to reference it. And again, if you're unsure, ask. I can't stress that enough. So this is what it will look like when I get information back from Turnitin. You can see all the pretty little colors that identify that somebody did a lot of cutting and pasting. Now, there are certain of these colors that are very small. So the very first one that's labeled with an 11 says lead poisoning remains a. Well, this is a common phrase. I'm not going to count that as part of the plagiarism, quote unquote, okay? And a lot of little things. I mean, you can see that number 5, the next one, is one that I would count because it's basically the same sentence that somebody else wrote, but the person changed the words inhalation and ingestion and prevalent, and that's it. So that's still considered plagiarism, okay? So I try to be very fair when I'm reading these and say, okay, this would be commonly said. This is obviously just cut and pasted. Be sure to cite and reference everything. You can see that not much is, that there's quite a bit of referencing going on, but the person did not make changes in the sentence and they did not put this into their own words. So it's still considered plagiarism, even though those references are there, those citations are there. And then this is something that came from a list that I just wanted to point out. This person did try to alter the list just to make it not plagiarism. I am not going to get on you about lists, but I do want to see something like, according to OSHA, this would include blah, 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 blah. Now, I don't see that here on this paper. Okay, so who is not teaching this course? There are several people who are signed up as secondary instructors. If it's not me or Dr. Cheng, then they are not teaching the course and they will not have the knowledge base of the course that we do. They are here to help us maneuver the course, either with the course setup or with grading or things like that. So they are not as knowledgeable about the course as Dr. Cheng and I are. So please, if you have questions, direct them to us and we will answer them to the best of our ability. The course is always being updated. So sometimes what will happen is a button will get pushed and it's not noticed, and so you don't have access that I thought you did. So just please let me know when problems arise. I'm happy to take care of them just as soon as I can. And come to me with issues before they become a problem in the course. I want to know if you're struggling with something, if it's the course or outside of the course. I'm not here to try to delve into your personal matters, but if you are dealing with a personal issue, I would prefer to hear about it when it occurs or while it's occurring, rather than you wait till the end of the semester and say, oh, well, this semester, this and that and the other happened. If I know going along, I can work with you throughout the semester. We can extend the course if we have to through an incomplete if necessary. I work with my students. I'm not really tough that way. So please come to me with issues and I will work with you so that you don't have to retake the course just because you were going through a personal issue. That's about it. Good luck in the course. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And I really look forward to having you in the course and learning more about you and just sharing environmental health.